I am currently 34 weeks pregnant with my first child. My husband, Mark, and I have been married for 3 years. Up until I got pregnant, my mother-in-law, Dolores, was annoying but manageable. She's the type of woman who wears white to weddings and accidentally spills red wine on people she dislikes. But since the pregnancy announcement, she has gone full scorched earth. Dolores has this obsession that she is the matriarch and that my baby is her do-over child because Mark was too difficult as a baby. Spoiler, he wasn't. She was just neglectful. Here is the situation. Mark and I bought a beautiful fixer-upper a year ago. I have spent the last 6 months painstakingly designing the nursery. I'm an interior designer by trade, so this was my passion project. I hand-painted a mural of a forest, bought custom eco-friendly furniture, and the color palette was a soft sage green and warm wood tones. It was perfect. I was so proud of it. Last weekend, my company sent me to a conference in Chicago for 3 days. Mark stayed home. While I was gone, Dolores told Mark she wanted to come over and help organize the baby clothes. Mark, who has a spine made of jello when it comes to his mother, agreed. When I unlocked the front door on Sunday night, I smelled fresh paint. My stomach dropped. I ran upstairs. The nursery is gone. My hand-painted mural, covered in a hideous, peeling wallpaper with race cars on it. My sage green walls, painted a blinding, electric blue. The custom crib I ordered, gone. Replaced by a rusty, drop-side crib from the 1980 seconds that Dolores kept in her attic. I literally fell to my knees and started sobbing. Mark came running in, looking terrified. Then Dolores stepped out of the closet, smiling like she'd just won the lottery. "Surprise!" she shrieked. "I fixed it! That green was so depressing. A boy needs energy, and that crib you bought was unsafe, so I brought Mark's old one. It has character." I saw red. I was shaking so hard I thought I was going into labor. I screamed at her to get out. I told her she had no right to touch my house. She immediately burst into fake tears, clutching her chest, screaming, "I'm just trying to be a grandmother. You're so ungrateful. Mark, do something." Mark looked at me and said, "Honey, you're being hormonal. She worked really hard on this. The wallpaper can be removed." It can't. She used industrial glue. I told Dolores to leave and that she is banned from my house and the hospital until she apologizes and pays to fix the room. She stormed out, calling me a selfish bitch. Now, Mark is giving me the silent treatment. His entire family is blowing up my phone saying I'm abusing a sweet old lady and that I'm robbing her of her grandson. Mark says I need to apologize to keep the peace because that's just how she is. I feel like I'm living in a nightmare. AITA for banning her? It's worse than I thought, and my husband is choosing her side. Time elapsed. 3 weeks later. I wish I had good news. I really do. But things have spiraled out of control. After my last post, I tried to stand my ground. I hired a contractor to fix the nursery. It cost $4,000 to strip that wallpaper and repaint. I sent the bill to Dolores. She sent it back, torn into pieces with a note that said, "Family doesn't sue family." Mark has been absolutely useless. He keeps saying I'm emasculating him by not letting his mother visit. He claims she was just trying to help. But here's the kicker. 2 days ago, I came home early from work. Maternity leave started early due to high blood pressure. Gee, I wonder why. Mark wasn't home. His car was gone, but I heard voices in the living room. I walked in, and there was Dolores. She had a locksmith with her. She was literally changing the locks on my front door. I dropped my groceries. "What the hell are you doing?" She jumped. "Oh, Sarah, you're early." She motioned to the locksmith to stop. "Mark gave me permission. Since you're so unstable lately with the hormones, we thought it would be safer if I had a key and controlled access to the house for when the baby comes. You know, to keep the stress down. I asked the locksmith to leave immediately. He looked horrified and ran. I called Mark. Did you tell your mother she could change the locks on our house? Mark, look, Sarah, she's worried about you. She thinks you might have prepartum psychosis because of how angry you got about the nursery. She just wants to make sure the baby is safe. Prepartum psychosis. They are trying to build a case that I am mentally unstable. I told Mark to get his ass home right now, or I was calling the police on his mother for trespassing. He came home, but he defended her. He said, "She's just a dedicated grandma. You're pushing everyone away." I packed a bag. I told Mark I'm staying at a hotel until he gets his head out of his mother's womb. He told me if I leave, he'll file for emergency custody the second the baby is born because I'm abandoning the marital home. I am terrified. I'm 37 weeks pregnant, sitting in a hotel room, realizing my husband isn't just a mama's boy, he's an accomplice. I've contacted a lawyer, but they said until the baby is born, there isn't much I can do regarding custody. Dolores sent me a text an hour ago. "Don't worry, dear. Mark and I will take good care of the baby. You just focus on getting mental help. I need to protect my son." The birth, the betrayal, and the restraining order. Time elapsed, 2 months later. My hands are shaking as I type this, but I am safe. And my son, Leo, is safe. But the road to get here was hell. I went into labor 2 weeks after my last post. I didn't tell Mark. I called my sister, who drove 4 hours to be with me, and went to the hospital. I explicitly told the nurses, no visitors, especially not Dolores or Mark. I registered as private. I had a C-section. It was traumatic, but Leo was perfect. 12 hours after the birth, I'm in the recovery room, groggy from meds. Suddenly, the door bangs open. It's Mark, and Dolores, and a photographer. Mark looks furious. "How dare you hide my son from me?" he yelled. Dolores pushed past him, marched right up to my bed, and tried to snatch Leo from my arms. "Give me my baby! You aren't fit to hold him! Look at you! You're a mess!" I screamed for the nurses. Security came rushing in. As they were dragging Dolores out, she screamed, "I have power of attorney. Mark signed it. We're taking the baby." Mark actually tried to block the security guard, yelling that I was kidnapping his child. The hospital was amazing. They locked down the unit. The police were called. I showed the officers the text messages from Dolores threatening to take the baby and accusing me of psychosis. I showed them the locksmith incident report. Because of their behavior in the hospital, attempting to physically take a baby from a post-op mother, the desk death, police issued a temporary emergency restraining order against Dolores. Mark was escorted out, but not arrested. Here is the plot twist I didn't see coming. While I was in the hospital, my sister went to my house to get more clothes for me. She found documents on Mark's desk. Mark didn't just give Dolores a key. He put her name on the deed to our house. He forged my signature on a quitclaim deed 3 months ago. They own the house, or they think they do. I am currently staying with my sister in another state. I have filed for divorce. My lawyer says the forgery is a felony, but Mark claims I signed it willingly during a moment of clarity. Dolores is posting all over Facebook that I kidnapped her grandson and that I'm a drug addict because I'm taking pain meds. For a C-section, I'm preparing for war. Time elapsed, 5 months later. I haven't updated because my lawyer advised silence, but we just got the forensic accounting back and, oh my God, the forgery on the house deed was just the tip of the iceberg. Remember how Mark said I was spending too much on the nursery? It turns out, over the last 3 years of our marriage, Mark has funneled $85,000 from our joint savings and retirement accounts into a separate account managed by Dolores. What did they spend it on? Asterisk. A new Mercedes for Dolores. Asterisk. Consulting fees for a business Dolores doesn't have. Asterisk. A retainer for a fierce custody lawyer hired 6 months ago. They were planning this. They were planning to declare me mentally incompetent, take the baby, and kick me out of the house I paid for. The nursery incident wasn't just Dolores being crazy. It was a stress test. They wanted me to snap so they could document my instability. Mark is currently living with Dolores. They are fighting the divorce tooth and nail. They have demanded 50/50 custody immediately. Leo is breastfeeding exclusively, so this is insane. But they made a mistake. Dolores is a narcissist, and narcissists get sloppy. My lawyer subpoenaed their texts. We found a group chat between Mark, Dolores, and Mark's aunt. In the chat, dated 2 weeks before I gave birth, Dolores wrote, "Once the baby is here, we trigger the CPS call. I've already planted the empty wine bottles in the recycling bin. Make sure she looks tired in the photos." Mark replied, "I feel bad, Mom. She loves the kid." Dolores, "She loves her career more. We are saving Leo. Do you want him raised by a nanny? Sign the papers, Mark. We have the smoking gun. Conspiracy to commit fraud, defamation, and filing false police reports." They did call CPS, who cleared me immediately. We go to court next week for the final showdown. I am not just looking for custody. I am looking for blood. Time elapsed. 1 year since the start. Grab your popcorn, because this is the ending I promised myself I would get. The setup. We walked into family court last Tuesday. Mark and Dolores looked smug. They had a high-priced shark lawyer paid for with my stolen money. I walked in with my female lawyer, looking calm, dressed in a sharp navy suit. Mark's lawyer started off aggressive, painting me as a postpartum, mentally unstable career woman who neglected her child. He showed photos of the wine bottles, which I don't drink. The execution. My lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, we would like to submit Exhibit C, the digital correspondence between the respondent and his mother. We projected the text messages on the screen. The plant the wine bottles text. The forgery admission texts. The texts where Dolores called the judge a senile old bat. Yes, she really did that. And we found it." The judge's face went stone cold. She looked at Dolores, then at Mark. Then, we brought in the forensic accountant. We showed the paper trail of the stolen $85K. We showed the forged deed. Mark started crying, actually sobbing. He tried to whisper to his lawyer, but his lawyer looked disgusted. But the coup de grace? My lawyer called a witness, Mark's aunt, the one in the group chat. I had reached out to her months ago. She always hated Dolores. She testified that Dolores had done this before to Mark's father, driving him to suicide so she could get the insurance money. She testified that Dolores admitted the plan was to break Sarah so she could raise Leo as her own son. The fallout, the divorce. I was granted full legal and physical custody of Leo. Mark gets supervised visitation, 2 hours every other Saturday, at a center paid for by him. He has no overnight rights. The money. The judge ordered Mark to repay the $85,000 plus legal fees. Since he doesn't have it, the judge ordered the sale of his assets. The house. The deed forgery was flagged to the district attorney. The judge voided the fraudulent transfer. The house is 100% mine. Criminal charges. This is the nuclear part. Based on the evidence presented in family court, the district attorney picked up the case. Mark pled guilty to fraud and forgery to avoid jail time. He is now a convicted felon on probation for 5 years. He lost his job in finance because, well, felons can't handle money. He is currently working at a warehouse and living in a studio apartment. Dolores. Oh, Dolores. She refused to plead out. She went to trial for grand larceny and identity theft. She was found guilty last month. She was sentenced to 3 to 5 years in state prison. The aftermath. I sold the house, too many bad memories. and bought a beautiful cottage near my sister. Leo is now 1 year old, walking and happy. He doesn't know his grandmother exists, and he barely knows his father. Yesterday, I got a letter from prison. It was from Dolores. You think you won? You'll never be happy without us. Mark loves me more. I burned the letter in my fireplace while drinking a very expensive glass of wine. I didn't just win, Dolores. I erased you. TL. Mill tried to steal my baby, gaslight me into an insane asylum, and stole $85K. I know. Used her own texts to send her to prison, get full custody, and leave my ex-husband with a felony record.